Hey guys, Jason back for another statue review. Today I'm going to do just a really quick review because this statue's been out for a long time. This is the OG Sideshow premium format White Queen Emma Frost, and the reason I'm reviewing her now, I mean I've had her for a while, she's one of my first statues that I got in, is because I just recently got her her portrait back, her head back, because I sent it off to a master painter. His name's Jacob Rahmier, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And because I wasn't happy with the original portrait. Anybody who's seen my room tour probably saw that I was laughing about it. My fiance, who's been nice enough to film right now, jokingly said that she had the face of Steve Buscemi, and she really did. Like, that's what she looked like. Her eyes were all over the place. So sent her off, her portrait off to Jacob. Got it back maybe a week or two ago. No, about a week ago. And it looks fantastic. And I don't think that this is the best statue at this point. It's showing its age a little bit, but I also don't think I'll ever get rid of her because of the uniqueness now of her portrait, and also some other things that I'll discuss. So let's get into the review. Thank you, my love. And yeah, let's pull in and take a look at her. So let's first of all look at this new portrait, the new paint job. And I mean, I unfortunately don't have the original, of course, to compare it to now, but this is like a totally different face. I mean, look at the detail there. In the eyes, Jacob is especially great at capturing, life, or giving the impression of life in the portraits that he paints. Especially in the eyes, and I mean this is no exception. Look at the detail there. I mean it completely transformed her face. Now I'm not going to say that I'm not going to go as far as to say that I like her face now, though. Even the hair, he did really well. I don't think that the sculpt is awesome, or let's put it this way, it's not. I don't think that her face is the most attractive face, and no amount of painting is going to change that. It's really just the sculpt. She just has a bit of a kind of like harder Eastern European look to her, I guess, if I can describe it that way. And I just don't dig that look. But that said, like I said, I mean Jacob is literally top of the top when it comes to painters, in my opinion, and he did an absolutely fantastic job with the material that he had, or the canvas, we'll say. So overall, I really do. I'm not going to say I dislike her portrait. It's so much better now, but would I prefer a softer featured Emma? Yeah, probably. But man, this took this statue to something that I was sure I was going to sell to something that'll probably stay in my collection forever. So let's move on to the rest of her. Now, first thing that I'll be right up front about that I don't like is the mixed media cape. I do not like mixed media, generally speaking. This cape is a perfect example of why I don't like mixed media. It doesn't fall nicely. It's a little bit too rigid, so I can't get it to like curl over and have that sort of elegant look that I want. It's not bad, but you can see little, I don't know if you can tell, but you can see little folds and ridges in here that I wouldn't have liked. Now I know you can probably iron it somehow, maybe put a cloth over top and then iron so you don't burn the cape itself. And maybe I'll try that, but I just don't like mixed media. It never looks intentional or perfect to me. You know what I mean? I've said this in other videos, but to me, a statue is set in stone, no quote or no pun intended. And the fact that the cape, like this is imperfect. This is imperfect. Like it doesn't look like it's intentional. And no matter how much I mess around with it, it's never going to look perfect. And that really bugs me. I might have some mild OCD, I'm not gonna lie, but still, I don't like that. Like, see all down here, these little imperfections, I don't like that at all. I don't like mixed media. But this is okay, it's not bad, okay? So the other thing that I'm not a big fan of is, you know, if you look closely, the paint is not perfect. There's some overpaint there, as you can see. There's some colors in her what little clothing she has, like these browns. I thought that maybe this was some sort of a flaw, 'cause I bought it off somebody. I didn't buy it directly from Sideshow. So I thought that maybe they had gotten something on it, but I think that's just part of the paint. And it's not, like, you wouldn't notice it unless you look closely, but it's just, I don't think that a newer statue from Sideshow would have these types of flaws. One thing that I actually don't mind, that I know a lot of other people sort of not complain about, but look at as a it's not a flaw, but something that they don't like as much as the newer statues, is the base. It's a very simple base, obviously, very kind of just like a museum base. Has the Hellfire logo on it, but other than that, it's I mean, it's very straightforward. I actually don't mind this. I think it's kind of cool to have these simple bases. You know, bases are getting super elaborate now, and they take up more room. And for somebody who collects a lot of statues, I appreciate just having a nice, simple, bold base, which makes you focus on the statue itself. Okay, so those are my criticisms. Now I'm going to get into the reason why I'm never going to sell her. Okay, so besides the fact that her portrait is completely unique now, nobody else has this Emma statue with this portrait, and it looks, you know, heads and tails better than it used to. The reality is, we are never ever going to get a statue like this from a licensed company again. That's just the reality of things. Like, let's be honest, let's look at her. She has huge boobs, tiny little waist, basically just like a hooker. You know, like, I know this is what Emma looked like in the comics in this era, and that's why I like it, because that was my era of Emma. But let's be realistic. Unless the culture massively shifts, they're never going to make a statue like this again. Even, I mean, if you look at what they did with Power Girl, the newest Power Girl, really nice looking statue, don't get me wrong, and I know for a lot of people maybe that's the Power Girl they grew up with, but they completely nerfed her boobs, which was, you know, a defining feature of Power Girl, whether you like it or not. So yeah, this type of a statue with this sort of exaggerated anatomy is kind of a relic of the past, I would say. So I would hesitate to ever get rid of this, because I just don't see a licensed company ever making this version of Emma again. And, you know, I know there's some complaints. People are always going to say, you know, it's an unrealistic depiction of women and whatever. But like I grew up in the 90s, man. Unrealistic was our jam. You know, we grew up with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which was a completely unrealistic look without massive steroids for a man to try and achieve. But that's what we grew up with, and we loved it. You know, our comic books always had girls with big boobs and thin waists, and guys with muscles on muscles on muscles. That was impossible, but that was just what we grew up with, and so I dig it. You know, maybe I'm just a product of my generation, and so be it. But that's what I like, and that's why I don't think I'll ever get rid of the statue. So that's it, guys. Like I said, like a very flawed statue. Greatly improved by Jacob. Thank you so much, Jacob, once again for doing that for me, because, man, if you could see what this used to look like, it's a complete transformation, and she now looks good enough to actually fit with the rest of the statue, and for that I'll be forever grateful. But yeah, so a flawed statue, but one that's never going to leave my collection. All right, that's all, guys. Have a great day, and like and subscribe if you liked the video, and until next time, later.